Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I always remind my colleagues, I'm a mother of 5 children, and I have 5 grandchildren going on 6 in October. Their personal safety is, of course, of paramount importance to me, as it is to every parent of their children and grandchildren in our country. As elected officials, our primary responsibility is to protect and defend our country, to provide for the common defense. It is in the Constitution of the United States. So to come to this floor on this very important debate and to hear the representative from Georgia to imply that this issue of punishing those who do harm or could do harm to our country is not a priority for every member of this body is a disservice to this debate and dishonors our Constitution. How dare you come to this floor and imply that we think that these people are being tried for chewing gum? They have committed the most heinous acts that we have witnessed in our lives. Every American wants them prosecuted and punished. Every American wants them prosecuted and punished. I will not yield. You had your time. You demeaned this debate by implying that they were being tried for chewing gum.
That's not true, and she knows.
That's what you said. The record will show it. But it isn't just you. It isn't just you. It's the condescension and the disrespect for something that we should expect every member of this body on both sides of the aisle to take very, very seriously, to provide for the common defense. We have that officially as our responsibility. It is our first responsibility because unless our people are safe, nothing else really matters. And as a mother, as a parent, as a mother of 5 and a grandmother of 5 going on 6, as I constantly remind you all, I identify with the concerns of all of America's families for safety in their neighborhoods while these Republicans are cutting the community police program, the cops on the beat program. So it's very pervasive. But again, we all want a safe home, a safe community, a safe neighborhood, homeland security, and to be able to protect our country wherever our interests are threatened in the world. And the ability to anticipate what those dangers may be is a very important one as well. It's 5 years since 9/11. Not one person who has been directly responsible for 9/11 has been prosecuted and punished. There's something wrong with this picture. And this bill that is here today, because it does violence to the Constitution of the United States, also, as Mr. Skelton said, will produce convictions that may well be overturned because the bill does not heed the instructions from the Supreme Court, a Supreme Court friendly to this administration, which has directed it to go back to the drawing board. Democrats bring to this debate an unshakable commitment, as do Republicans, to the proposition that terrorists who attack Americans must be caught, convicted, and punished in a judicial process that will withstand the scrutiny of the Supreme Court. We want them in jail. We want them punished, whatever that punishment is. We don't want it overturned. And that's what this debate is about today. The American people want those who perpetrated and are responsible for 9/11 to be prosecuted without further delay. It's 5 years later, and they want convictions to stick so that justice will not be further postponed. It is inexplicable. How do you explain to people that 5 years later this has not happened? The bill does, and not one single planner has even been brought to trial. The bill does not help us achieve the goal of bringing anyone to trial. It is badly flawed. It threatens the safety of our troops, our ability to prosecute terrorists effectively, our ability to protect the American people, and to honor our oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution. Rather than welcoming suggestions for improvements, Republicans refuse to hear them at all. The only one recourse that we have is to defeat this rule so that we can offer amendments to address some of the bill's most glaring deficiencies in the areas of 1, habeas corpus, 2, Geneva Convention standards, and the appeals process. If we do not, I believe, as I've said, that we'd be headed for a repeat of the Hamdan versus Rumsfeld, a Supreme Court defeat for the president, that was, and a decision that sends us back to square one in terms of bringing those responsible for 9/11 to trial. By seeking to strip federal courts of habeas corpus review, this bill is practically begging to be overturned by the courts. Habeas corpus is one of the hallmarks of our legal system and our democracy. It is the last line of defense against arbitrary executive power. Permitting, and on that subject, we had a rule that was proposed by Mr. Meehan. It was rejected by the Rules Committee. Hopefully we can reject the previous question so that we can bring that up. Then, permitting indefinite detention under conditions that cannot be challenged in court is so contrary to our history and our values that it should raise all sorts of red flags. Yet this bill rushes us headlong into a court-stripping misadventure that will have disastrous consequences for our efforts to combat terrorism. Let us not go there. In addition, that's habeas corpus. In addition, the bill establishes an appeals process. It's interesting, Mr. Speaker, the appeals process in this bill ignores the existing highly respected appellate military system that provides a direct route to the Supreme Court, expedited. Rather than deferring to the military justice system that is very respected by the military and that is now in place, the bill creates a new appeals court with no track record and a longer path to the Supreme Court review, which will delay justice. Perhaps most distressing, this bill could very well boomerang on us, putting American troops in danger. Redefining the Geneva Convention in ways that lower the treatment standards the conventions create poses a real risk to American forces. This is a time when the golden rule really should be in effect. Do not unto others what you would not have them do unto your troops, your CIA agents, your people in the field. For 60 years, we have understood that our military personnel, and God bless our military personnel, our men and women in uniform, our intelligence officers who are out there, for their patriotic service to our country. They are best protected by an international commitment to the highest possible standards for the treatment of prisoners. Why would we want to do something that at the same time jeopardizes the safety of our troops and weakens the moral basis for our efforts against terrorists? And experts have testified over and over again that that kind of treatment does not produce the intelligence, that is the value and reliability that we need to protect the American people and to bring these terrorists to justice. Democrats have proposed amendments on these issues, habeas corpus, Geneva Conventions, the appeals process, but the rule as drafted will not let us to consider them. This House, once again, is shutting us down on debate. As yesterday, this House said no to the resolution that said we want all members of Congress to see the national intelligence estimate so that we can stipulate, all of us together, to a set of facts of how the war in Iraq is having a negative impact on the war on terror. Yesterday they said no. Today the Republicans said no. It's just a constant chant. These subjects are just too important to allow those results to stand. If we defeat the previous question, which is being, the opposition to which is being led by Congresswoman Slaughter, thank you, Congresswoman Slaughter, for your leadership on this important issue on the Rules Committee. Under your leadership, if we win, we can thoroughly debate all of the matters raised by this legislation. Let's do the job that we were elected to do on this, one of the pivotal issues of our time. Let us honor our oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution and our responsibility to protect the American people and to prosecute and punish those